According to the author Hugh J. Schonfield, Jesus never died on the cross, but was still alive when he was taken down a bare 3 hours after having been crucified. Or, as some other scholars insist, he survived the events narrated in the New Testament and lived to old age. Although most historians say that there is no historical evidence to support this theory, it continues to intrigue and provoke discussions about the true fate of Jesus. Dr. Schonfield, an important biblical scholar and one of the first to examine the Dead Sea Scrolls, seriously challenged the standard history of the last 2,000 years of Western civilization, and the world has not been quite the same since the publication of his book, Passover Plot, in 1966. Yet his controversial conclusions were perfectly in accord with what Middle Eastern and European secret societies have always insisted, even as long ago as the 1st century AD, which is that Jesus survived the crucifixion. This theory, if proven, would undermine the core belief of Christianity, that Christ died and was resurrected. In this case, the entire Christian edifice comes tumbling down, for nothing is as central to Christianity as the item of faith that Christ died on the cross and was resurrected, came back to life, rose from the dead, 40 hours later. Schonfield expanded on his findings in subsequent works, including the Essene Odyssey, which explored connections between his research and other investigations into the Knights Templar and Freemasons, as developed in The Holy Blood and the Holy Grail by Bagent, Lee, and Lincoln. This work, published in 1982, also suggested that Jesus' bloodline survived and influenced historical events, with secrets passed down through organizations like the Rosicrucians and Freemasons. We are told of Jesus' heirs manifesting as the Merovingian kings, and that the Knights Templar were repositories of the sacred secret of the Holy Blood, the Sang Real, a secret that was passed down to the Rosicrucians, Freemasons, etc. Thus, according to this theory, a political and religious dynasty has existed in hiding for 2,000 years and has had an inordinate amount of influence over the progression of world events, as certain select leaders in politics, religion, science, culture were brought in on the secret and made members of this intellectual elite and given the key to understanding the codified mysteries of millennia. While Schonfield did not fully endorse the conclusions of Holy Blood, Holy Grail, he speculated that Jesus might have ended up far from Palestine, possibly in Kashmir, where a tomb in Srinagar is believed by some to be his final resting place. This theory was supported by Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the founder of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, who claimed that Jesus survived the crucifixion and lived out his days in Kashmir. Ahmad's views, detailed in his books, remain a point of debate among scholars and religious groups. The ROZA BAL, located in Srinagar, is believed by locals to be the tomb of Yuz Asaf or Yuza Asuf, a sage who, according to Ahmadi Muslims, was actually Jesus. This view, however, is not accepted by mainstream Islam. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the founder of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, claimed in 1899 that this tomb belonged to Jesus, a belief he supported with detailed research in his books. Despite the lack of historical evidence, this theory has persisted, though it is often regarded as more legend than fact. A shrine is located in the Kanyar area in the downtown area of Srinagar in Indian-administered Jammu and Kashmir. The word ROZA means tomb. The word BAL means place. Locals believe a sage is buried here, Yuz Asaf or Yuza Asaf, alongside another Muslim holy man, Mir Sayyid Nasiruddin. The shrine was relatively unknown until the founder of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, claimed in 1899 that it is actually the tomb of Jesus. This view is still maintained by Ahmadi Muslims today, though it is rejected by other Muslims. The structure stands in front of a Muslim cemetery. It consists of a low rectangular building on a raised platform, surrounded by railings at the front and an entry. Previously was maintained by the local community, but is now maintained by a board of directors consisting of Sunni Muslims. According to Kashmiri writer Fida Hasnain, a supporter of the Ahmadiyya views of Jesus, the tomb contains a rock carving that is said to show feet bearing crucifixion wounds, and the body is buried according to what Hasnain considers are the Jewish tradition of directions, and not according to the Islamic tradition. Academic reception of Hasnain's works has been highly critical. The founder of Ahmadiyya, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, inferring from the verse 2350 of the Quran, believed that the only occasion in the life of Jesus, son of Mary, that his life was seriously threatened when an attempt was made to kill him by the cross. the Quran saying that we prepared an abode for them in an elevated part of the earth, being a place of quiet and security and watered with running springs. Ahmad says, may very fittingly apply to the Valley of Kashmir. In his book, Jesus in India, he elaborately claimed that ROZA BAL was the tomb of Jesus. The book was fully published in 1908, and the first complete English translation in 1944 advocated the view that Jesus did not die by crucifixion, but traveled to the Indian subcontinent and died there at age 120. Perbesco states that Ghulam Ahmad separated Yuz Asaf into two components, Yuz and Asaf, interpreted Yuz as Jesus and Asaf, the Hebrew for gather, as signifying Jesus the gatherer. The Ahmadiyya writer Khwaja Nazir Ahmad's Jesus in Heaven on Earth, 1952, developed Ghulam Ahmad's ideas. There are ruins of a Hindu temple near Srinagar where Ghulam Ahmad claimed Jesus had preached. Due to the lack of other Western sources, the Ahmadi rely on the 3rd century apocryphal Acts of Thomas and generally post-15th century Muslim sources in their reconstruction of an Eastern travel path for Jesus. J. Gordon Melton states that having assumed the Mujaddid, faith renewer, appellation in the 1880s, and having declared himself the promised Messiah for the Christians, Ghulam Ahmad simply picked up the legend that Jesus had visited India to increase his self-identification with Jesus. Gerald O'Collins states that no historical evidence has been provided to support Ghulam Ahmad's theory that Jesus died in India. Simon Ross Valentine classifies the theory as a legend and considers the burial of Jesus in ROZA BAL a myth in the scale of the legend of Joseph of Arimathea taking the Holy Grail to Britain. One of the most controversial historical theories, the idea that Jesus survived his crucifixion, emerged from discoveries of scrolls that were found in the caves of Qumran in what is now Israel. Discovered in early 1947, the same year as Aleister Crowley's death in England, the infamous UFO sighting by Kenneth Arnold, the Roswell crash, and the creation of the CIA, these scrolls, written and hidden in clay jars 2,000 years ago, still have implications that are not fully understood by the average person in the 21st century. Over the years, more discoveries were made, not just in Qumran, but also in Nag Hammadi, Egypt, where the first Gnostic Gospels were found. Together, these finds pose the most significant challenge to the accepted doctrines of Christianity, as well as to the historical narratives of Judaism and Islam, both of which are rooted in Jewish and Christian traditions. Additionally, these discoveries inadvertently revealed the existence of one of the oldest secret societies spanning Europe, the Middle East, and Central Asia. This society, so ancient and secretive, remains largely unknown, with its secrets being pieced together like fragments of pottery by archaeologists. The full story may take years to unfold, but what has been uncovered so far has already led scholars of Christian, Jewish, and Islamic history to radically rethink their understanding. Biblical scholars such as Barbara Thiering, Elaine Pagels, Hugh Schonfield, J.M. Allegro, and Robert Eisenman have explored the identities of key figures like Jesus, his brother James, Simon Magus, Judas Iscariot, and the original apostles. Their work has generated an anti-history that questions 2 millennia of European religious, political, and ecclesiastical developments. These revelations have opened the door for popular writers like Michael Bygant, Richard Lee, Henry Lincoln, Graham Hancock, Christopher Knight, and others to question long-held beliefs about the Bible, church history, medieval events, the Crusades, European religious wars, and the bloodlines of both kings and mystics. While some of their conclusions may seem far-fetched, these authors have provided substantial sources to support their theories, sparking debates that captivate the public. In conclusion, these events, shrouded in mystery, propaganda, and legend, have been preserved by a brotherhood of initiates and are now being revealed to the world, challenging our understanding of history and religion. Also, in the broader context, the geopolitical tensions in regions like Palestine and Kashmir, both potential flashpoints for global conflict, serve us as a stark reminder of the enduring impact of events that took place 2,000 years ago. But do you agree that Jesus might have ended up in India, or that Christ's bloodline survived and influenced many historical events, as suggested in the Holy Blood and the Holy Grail? Leave a comment below. Anyway, thumbs up and subscribe if you have not already.